Step right up, step right up. Are you ready to experience your own death? You look like a man who's seen enough of the world. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to lie in your own coffin? To feel the dirt falling on you, clod by clod? You may have forgotten the cradle, but it's not too late to experience your grave.
Indeed, Adam had spent many a night thinking about his own demise, though he was more preoccupied with what came after than the physical process of burial. Still, the idea was intriguing, and nothing else at the fair had managed to frighten him thus far. The sporadic drizzling of a cold fall evening helped as best it could to set the mood for what had promised to be the scariest event of the season. All Adam had to show for it, however, was a damp sock on his right foot. Through multiple haunted houses he had shuffled past screaming animatronics and cackling actors. The artistry was a thing to behold, but it was more amusing than spine-tingling.
What do you say?
The barker hummed.
Do we have a body?
Okay. Adam held his hands up in surrender, then rummaged through his pocket for 2 tickets as he approached.
So, what's your name?
The squat man asked, as he snatched the tickets and tossed them under his top hat. Adam.
My condolences. Now, climb in, dearly departed.
Before him there was a poorly hidden machine under a black shroud, upon which lay the coffin. Clearly it was designed to shake and rumble once he was in. Adam climbed up the small aluminum stepladder and turned to sit. Once his legs were slung over the side, the barker slammed shut the lower half of the lid. The old thing smelled badly of sweat from previous occupants.
We are gathered here together to lay to rest our poor Adam. I, Calamar Sanctimonious, shall be officiating this shedding of his mortal coil.
A small gathering of onlookers chuckled as he spoke. Adam played along, crossing his hands over his chest and poorly suppressing the occasional smirk.
He died as he lived, working a boring job while dreaming of being an artist. But as they say, there are only 2 kinds of artists, starving and dead. So he worked for food and ended up dead anyways. Who would have guessed?
Adam shifted uneasily. This eulogy was hitting a little too close to home. There was a time when he dreamed of pursuing an artistic career, like painting, but he'd never bothered picking up so much as a pencil.
Farewell, sweet prince. Who can say if your path on the other side leads up or down? But in either case, please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle for the rest of time.
With that, Calamar slammed the lid. Darkness pressed in. Adam could feel his heart pounding. The stench of worn cushions stifled the air. Slowly at first, the coffin shifted. There was a lowering, and then a thud as it hit the bottom of his grave. An earthy smell crept in between the cracks as splashes of dirt rained down from above. The final impact settled as a faraway whisper, and all that remained was the sound of Adam breathing heavily in the cramped stillness. He filled his lungs to scream, but stopped short when the lid opened. Rubber-gloved hands descended from bright lights which flooded the room. An oxygen mask slipped over Adam's face. Methodic beeping faded in and out as darkness came again. Overcome by a sudden urge of adrenaline, he shoved his arms up and pushed the coffin lid open with a bang. Damp, musky air flooded in as he sat up and looked around.
Hello?
Adam's voice echoed through an empty warehouse. With stiff limbs, he awkwardly climbed out and stood in the wide open space. Nearby was a rusted operating table, splashed with what he could only assume was fake blood. No doubt these were unused props from the haunted houses, though they were much more convincing than the plastic weapons he had seen earlier in the evening.
Is this part of the experience? Where's the exit?
A large pair of double doors swung open on the far side of the room. The barker, Calamar, walked in backwards, then turned to face Adam. He was wearing Crocs, and his hands were raised as if freshly scrubbed and ready for surgery.
Oh, dearly departed. You've awakened a bit early. Why don't you go ahead and get back in the coffin?
Very funny. Where's the exit, pal? I'm tapping out.
If you want to leave, you just need to get back in the coffin.
Calamar advanced slowly. No, I'm serious. Cut the act. I'm done.
You're gonna want what I'm giving you. You'll see.
He pulled a syringe from his pocket and popped off the needle protector. Adam stumbled to the opposite side of the coffin, then grabbed a scalpel from the operating table. It was heavy. The real deal. Calamar lunged across the corner and tried to grab his arm. Adam spun about to run, inadvertently slamming the coffin lid down on Calamar's head. The syringe fell from his hand. Taking the opportunity, Adam fled full sprint for the doors his would-be surgeon had entered through.
You'll see. You'll beg me to finish the procedure.
Weaving around rusted wheelchairs and abandoned gurneys, the walls of a derelict hospital washed past in a blur as he ran. Despite the ringing in his head, Adam raced as far and as fast as he could. To slow down meant certain death. Pain sliced through his foot, causing him to halt. Blood slowly pooled below him. He had stepped on a shard of broken mirror, the rest of which was leaning against a wall. It was one of those circular ones that hospitals hang up to look around corners. Adam saw his reflection and realized for the first time that there were bandages wrapped around his head. Wide-eyed and frightened by the mysterious procedure which had been forced on him, Adam slowly peeled away the edge of the wrappings.
There's nowhere to run. You'll see.
Calamar's voice echoed down the dim halls. Adam turned from the mirror and continued his flight. There had to be a window, an exit. The hospital rooms were dark and empty. He ran inside one and threw open the curtain on the back wall. Dirt. Behind the glass, there were layers of soil and rocks. The hospital was buried underground. Darting back out, he kept going until he found another pair of large doors. Echoes of laughter and shouting seeped in from the other side. The Carnival. Adam burst through. Attendees crowded the small seats within an old surgical theater. Popcorn littered the floor. Above, the ceiling was painted to mimic a white and red striped circus tent. The people cheered and taunted, threw snacks and laughed hysterically.
Make it do a dance again,
one jeered.
No, make it sing. Take off its clothes.
This final request got the room howling. Adam crouched down and walked behind the audience until he found a set of stairs which gave him a better view of what was happening below. In the middle of the stage was a man. He danced in awkward, stilted rhythm while mumbling a song. Adam stared in dread, for he recognized the man instantly. It was him, or some copy of him that moved in his flesh and sang in his voice. He turned away in embarrassment as the clone began to undress.
Impressive, isn't it?
Calamar sat beside him as the room erupted in chatter. What's happening?
It's my invention. A grand machine that can do anything, be anyone. I call it the Cradle, the origin of our new civilization.
What did you do to me?
Oh, the procedure. I dug around your head a bit. Don't worry, you still have all your parts. I just needed that little spark of creation to teach my machine. It would be impossible to get good training data ethically, you know. So I borrowed it. Oh, don't be upset, you aren't using it anyway.
Adam stared at the people around him. Shackles locked their feet in place, and on each head he saw similar scars.
That's the best part,
Calamar mused.
Let me finish the procedure. I can cut it out for good. That little snippet of you that still wants to create, you won't miss it. My machine can do all the work for you. There's no sound, no movement, no stroke of the pen that it cannot mimic. The world doesn't need you anymore. You are dead.
Those words cut through the fog, awakening Adam's resolve. He jumped to his feet to run, but felt a sharp pain in his thigh. A syringe stuck to his flesh. He ripped it out, only to find the plunger had been fully depressed.
How far can you go?
Just give up. He stumbled forward, leaning on the backs of the audience who grumbled meekly and attempted to swat him away. Each step felt 10 miles long. The world shrank into a small white dot. Cold sweat burst from every pore as his hands went numb. He could stand no longer, so the floor rose up to greet him with a thud. Straps chafed tightly around Adam's wrists and ankles as he awoke. Above him loomed an enormous pulsating mass. As large as a building, the thing squirmed and hummed. Slime dripped heavily from its pink flesh down to the soft dirt below. All around it snaked metal catwalks where men in lab coats sprayed it down with large hoses. Every few seconds, a clump of flesh would fall to the ground and a sticky human would emerge to go do the audience's bidding.
"He's a thirsty boy,"
Calamar said from behind Adam.
"Every day it gets more requests, and so it must grow larger still. Just imagine it. Every human on Earth sacrificing their sparks for my new cradle of civilization. You're a part of it too now."
"I didn't ask for this."
And nobody asks for the world to change, dead man.
An alarm blared overhead. All the workers looked about in confusion as water stopped flowing from their hoses.
Hey, why have you stopped? Sir, we're out of water. We can't run out. I own all the water.
"There's none left to own, sir." The cradle began to writhe in agony as its pungent flesh shriveled. Clod by clod, the soil above rained down as the thing rocked back and forth, slowly burying everybody inside the subterranean dome. Catwalks collapsed, workers ran screaming, Calamar laughed.
"Well, I suppose we really are dead now, huh?"
Dirt cascaded over them like a waterfall. Strapped to the chair, Adam had no choice but to surrender once more to the encroaching darkness. He closed his eyes and waited for the end. With an exaggerated creak, the coffin lid opened once more. Calamar's face stared back at him impatiently.
"Okay, nap time is over. There are other folks waiting to brave the grave."
Crisp autumn air chilled the sweat on Adam's brow. He sat up and looked at the rain-soaked carnival guests around him. Gingerly, he climbed out of his cradle, recognizing the dampness in his right sock as it touched the ground. A father walked up with his excited son, who scurried into the coffin.
"So, what's it like on the other side?"
he asked. Adam paused for just a moment.
"I don't know.
But I think I want to learn how to draw."